So this is Where's My Mac? The title of this presentation could have been several different phrases that are thrown my way, and I'm sure yours every day, like, hey, I ordered 250 laptops yesterday, are those ready for my staff yet? Or, hey, are you busy right now? Is now a good time to interrupt you for the next several hours? But if you came to this session hoping that I would be giving you a new computer, I'm really sorry for that disappointment. It's not here. So, as I was preparing for this session, I wanted to talk about deployment and some of the things that we've been doing to get our Macs out faster. And I started to notice a theme in our department towards self-service type solutions, whether that's allowing our customers to reset their own passwords, perform their own restores, or upgrade their own OS. We've really been seeing a lot of trend toward that. So I wanted to explore some ways that we've had success. I hope some of these will be valuable to you, and I'll get you back to browsing Reddit in no time. So first, let me introduce myself. I'm Adam Girardi. I'm a systems manager at The Ohio State University. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Girardi. If you have any follow-up questions, I'd love to hear from you. I've really loved coming to these conferences. This is my third year here. OSU and Penn State are similar in size, so it's rare to find something like that. But I'm not sure Penn State really loves seeing a Buckeye here. When I got to the front desk, gave her my ID, she said, "Oh, you're from Ohio." And as long as you're not from that school, so I kept my mouth shut, and I don't think they really appreciate a Buckeye back here, but here I am. Ohio State's located in Columbus, Ohio. It's the 15th largest city in the United States, and about half of the 1.7 million population were down at this fireworks display last week. And when I got here, I kept hearing people talking about a Kickstarter that was started in Columbus State for potato salad. It's going viral right now on the internet, and it started in Columbus. $10 Kickstarter to make potato salad. He'd never made potato salad before. It's now above $43,000. He was on Good Morning America. And if it reached 3,000, he's inviting the internet for a party in Columbus. So if you're looking for potato salad and a chance to come to Columbus, apparently that'll be happening real soon. But Columbus is a real emerging high-tech city. There's a lot of startups. There's a lot of major research federal agencies in Columbus. So really a big up-and-coming tech city. And a little-known fact, Columbus is actually the IP address capital of the world. National Geographic had an article about 224 million military IP addresses are registered downtown Columbus. So it's kind of a misnomer, but Columbus is the registration point for all those IPs. There's a lot of Fortune 500 companies ranked as a smart city, but one of the high points they always keep pointing to is the Ohio State University. It's the third largest in the U.S., an enrollment of 63,000. It's 3,000 acres, including an airport, golf course, and I've heard there's a football stadium too. But top 20 public university, really large university, 13,000 daily visitors to our library. So with all of these big parts of the university, it really creates a lot of IT challenges. Recently, we've gone through a one university push to kind of centralize a lot of things. IT being one of them, centralized a cloud storage in a branded box.com, email exchange. There was a 3-year project going on to consolidate over 65 different unique exchange servers into one central exchange server. So it does come with a lot of challenges, a lot of different IT departments doing the same exact thing. But one of the subgroups of Central IT is Digital First. Their mission has been to inspire innovative instruction through emerging technologies. So they've really focused on iPads, iTunes U. Just last year, they had 150,000 downloads of a calculus class, 29 courses in the top 100 of iTunes U, and OSU is really pushing forward with a lot of that iTunes U development. And you may have seen OSU recently on one of the Apple commercials with our marching band. A couple years ago, they decided to go green. They're using iPads and apps such as Fourscore, Drillbook, and Coach's Eye, and they've really kind of made the headlines a lot with some of what they're doing. So I guess one time one of the students got sick and a sub had to come in and was able to, on the iPad, learn the whole routine on the way to the stadium. So pretty cool stuff that's going on. I actually work for University Advancement IT. Our IT unit supports the Alumni Association, development, the fundraising unit, and the communications, PR, brand, and media hub for the university. And OSU and Penn State shared that they recently both hired a new president. So they made kind of Twitter history with the OSU new pres and PSU new pres sharing that commonality, and was kind of bulletin board material in our office saying that they were glad that they were flattered that Penn State copied them. So, but I actually worked for before I became University Advancement, I worked for University Communications. I was a lone systems admin, pulled in many directions. I had a wide range of customers, from graphic designers, photographers, communicating the message of the university. I've had developers who think that they know more about security than IT office, to photographers that probably would rather be in the dark room than using Photoshop. So it's difficult to satisfy this wide range of customers. If I pushed out an OS upgrade, the developers would be happy, while some of the people that weren't really ready for the next release would be lined up outside my door wondering what's going on. So if I waited and did training for all of them, they might be happy that they were getting the training they needed before the new OS, but the developers and people that were more tech savvy started to hack the system and install the upgrade on their own time with, rooting the system. But I needed a system that would make my customers happy so that I could continue focus on what needed my attention and therefore make me and my director happy. So while I was working out this problem, I was reading two excellent books that really have never steered me wrong. And I had to ask myself, what would Tom Limoncelli do? These are two excellent books if you are interested in reading them. Practice of System and Network Administration and Time Management for Sysadmins. I have one on my iPad. I have one on my desk. They're just really great resources. A lot of tech books become outdated really quickly. These were originally published in 2005 and 2007, and they're solid building blocks that really still ring true today. Each session has basic elements to building a strong foundation that we were interested in. Service delivery, standardizing, automation, etc. And after each section, there's icing sections that he calls them to really extend some of those foundations. In the time management book, you learn how to say go away without sounding like a jerk. So naturally, IT is built around interruptions, so we still have to be able to manage that time with the projects as well as the break fix. There's also an ops report card, a list of 32 fundamental best practices. These are capabilities that high-performance sysadmin teams do. You can use it as a checklist. And then each one is followed by an essay, why it's valuable, and explaining resources to help you get started. So I think all of you are starting on the right foot being here, because this conference has always been a way for me to go home, figure out some ways with the newfound knowledge to check off some of those boxes. But when we were evaluating MDM solutions, our iPads were starting to creep into our environment a couple years ago. Our Alumni Association went digital. They used Board Effect to be able to take the 10,000 pages that they would be printing every year for their board to meet now on iPads that they can update even the night before if there's an insert. So some of the MDM capabilities of Casper really made it an attractive solution. And actually, Jamf came out to pitch this to us, myself and a room full of Windows admins. I was expecting it to go disastrous, but the next day my director actually cut the PO for Casper. It was such a quick turnaround to be able to see the value in that and purchase it. So if anyone not familiar with the Casper suite, I just included a URL for you to be able to go grab a lot of the quick hits from Casper. But it really simplifies MacAdmins' life dealing with OS X as well as iOS. Tools for managing the systems, and it integrates really well with a lot of our existing enterprise utilities. Okay, so it's really worked well for us. In my experience, the Mac customer and the Mac IT are really in stark contrast to the Windows world. Historically, a lot of our Mac users have been left on their own if an IT group was not willing to take on the Macs. So they're unmanaged by IT in the past, and it typically are admins on their system. This is good for me because it creates a little bit more advanced user, but also they're expecting a little bit more, like in the past when they were able to be admins of their system. So this really creates a desire for some of our customers to want to take ownership of their machine, want to be admins of their machine. So we've been trying to figure out how we as IT can adjust to some of these needs that our customers do have as Mac users. And the self-service portal from Casper was really what gave us some of this control for our customers. It provided the flexibility that they desired and gave us still the control we needed. It's also a familiar App Store look and feel, and our customers were able to gain time as well as IT help desk. And so this can be custom branded to fit your organization as well. But we're able to provide documentation and quick links so that we can keep those that are interested in finding out what's new in the software. We even put frequently asked questions or links to our knowledge base entry here. So it cuts down a lot of that question of, didn't you get that email? Or people just know to go here to self-service to figure out what's going on. Some of the built-in utilities we've been able to use are really some of the standard stuff that our Tier 1 help desk would do for any problems. We've set this up so that if they're having issues, they can quickly run this. And it's going to repair permissions, it'll flush caches if they're having issues, and they can kind of do this before even having to call the help desk. So soon they were starting to realize that if their computer was having issues, the first step was our self-service app, and really appreciated being able to do that on their own time. And if there are failures, we're able to see that, this person has run this several times. Maybe IT does need to go out there and see what's going on, so we can keep an eye on that. And that policy was just right out of the box in the Casper admin, just some check boxes to be able to give you that ability for your customers. But if that doesn't work, a lot of times we'll use the sysdiagnose for any ticket that gets created that maybe gets escalated to some of our Tier 2 or Tier 3. The sysdiagnose provides a lot of logs and errors that may be happening on a system. And we can run this from the activity monitor here. This is on their system. Run this, and you're given a great output of all different logs that you can comb through to see what's going on when a crash happened. Why did this happen, and what was the error message that they received if they're not totally forward with what's going on. It just doesn't work, doesn't really help us. So going through the logs is really able to figure out what is going on. And this is zipped up, and we can put this into our ticket. We can run this a couple different ways, from Command, Shift, Control, Option, period, but if you're not that flexible, it's actually a command that you can run. It gives sysdiagnose provides all that information. So if it can be run from command line, it can also be scripted to be able to be run in self-service. Customer can click this and it'll do that same function, and it'll collect all the zipped up logs and put them in an email that they can send to our help desk. It allows them to say what was going on when the crash happened, here's the logs, and maybe someone who's at the help desk can start going through that, and when the ticket is automatically generated from this email. This is using a little bit of Cocoa dialog in there, and then the script determines which default email application they're using and opens up a new message. I'll post all these scripts later if you're interested in following along, but very useful to be able to automate this and provide this as a self-service option to our customers. Another thing we've been able to do is use the Create OS X install package. It's a long name, but a great product. It makes a payload-free package that you're easily able to be deployed. We put this in self-service, but this package can be used in ARD, absolute manage, whatever you would use. You can customize this so that it adds packages, and you can apply your management tools. For us, I actually make a very slim package that includes the OS, our local admin account, Java, a first boot that has a lot of scripts, and our Casper. And I kind of just wanted to show you how easy it was to be able to do this. I'm going to type this into the terminal, tell it the create OS 10 package, and I want to explain that these other packages I want to be included when they install it. And it combines it all up so that you can easily deploy this. It actually wound up taking longer to type out the commands than it did to combine all of it together. So it's going to combine all of that for you and make it really, really easy to deploy OS upgrades. Okay.
So you put that in self-service?
Yeah. Once it spits out that PKG, that package, we're able to put that then in self-service so that our users are able to install the OS upgrade on their own time. It used to be a scheduling nightmare to be able to get their computer from them, schedule it with IT, and usually the only time they have is lunch, to be able to do that stuff. So IT doesn't need to eat, apparently. And this way, they can run this and then go to lunch. So they hit install, and everything that we've provisioned in that package automatically gets installed. Casper does a reboot and then installs just like you're familiar with doing with the OS 10 upgrade. This is probably one of the biggest home runs that we saw as soon as we got self-service and Casper going, to be able to give that to them and run that on their own time. So that's upgrading the OS, and what about imaging and deployment? It's a little bit more complicated, but when I first started, it was just a bunch of checklists and going through and making sure everything was installed. Real personal touch, but obviously very time consuming. So then we started doing monolithic imaging, or the golden master, taking that checklist and then when you're done, taking an image of it so that we can deploy that. It gave us all the software, all the settings, everything we wanted to do, and applied everything in our organization, making it all identical. So you get everything set up just right, and then you take your snapshot of your finished product onto an external drive, and you can take that, net boot it, take it around your organization and on an external drive. That way you don't have to keep doing the checklist. But the downsides of this golden master could leave some dangerous consequences. It leaves some unwanted, unnecessary files behind, like your LKDC, your downloads. If there's new hardware released, that image that you've just created then isn't going to work on those new ones that come in. So, and of course we're dealing with the last minute requests of you've done all the software installs and then someone comes around with the next new thing that you needed to install. It worked for a while for us, but we moved on to more of a modular imaging, a thin imaging, and this creates small, never-before images that have never been booted. It makes it a very easy way to automate and create new images when the new OS is released. AutoDimage is the name of the new product. It's very easy to use. The GUI makes it really easy to drag and drop the app and install any other packages. So just like the Create OS 10 package, the AutoDimage, I include just a few of our packages, first boot and Java, and then it's going to go out and download some of the latest updates. And I was going to give you some screenshots, but I kind of just wanted to go through really fast. I'll speed this up faster than the other one, just how easy it was for us to start doing this with AutoDimage. Maybe, maybe not. Oh no. Okay. Has anyone used InstantImage before? Back there. Have you used AutoDimage as well? Does it make it a lot easier? Yeah. It's not cheating if you use a GUI, but it makes it really easy to combine those packages in there, and it spits out a disk image then that you can take and put into Deploy Studio or Casper Imaging.
Does this retain a recovery partition?
It does. It includes the recovery partition. Yeah. I'm going to speed this up, hopefully. It takes about 15 minutes, so this is really fast. It's gotten a lot faster since I got the new Mac Pro, so those things really help. But you get the idea that you just, in 15 minutes, really quickly create your image that you would take and then deploy. And then that can be applied to, like we said, all the familiar deployment tools. But we were doing this for our new Macs when we were doing rollouts. But when 10.7 came out and we had that as a .app, we started to see it would be really easy to be able to not image at all. We started recently not re-imaging because we're trying to take exactly what we get from Apple and not blow it up and recreate anything. It makes it really fast to be able to use what we would normally, just a first boot script. This does a lot of our customizations, applies Active Directory binding, and sets up the computer just like we would traditionally with a monolithic or an AutoDimage. The only difference is we're not erasing it before that happens. So it does cut down on a lot of our deployment time. We're using Deploy Studio to create smart groups based off of like the serial numbers we get when we get a new group of computers. And we can start a workflow automatically by entering those serial numbers. And it's a really thin image of just doing some package installs and some settings, and again, not erasing what we get out of the box. And what we use is actually smart groups in Casper to be able to install software after it's enrolled. We have our base software install automatically, and then we rely on these smart groups. So if it's a laptop, it gets VPN. If it's in the brand and marketing, it's going to get CS6 Design and Web Premium. If it's a photographer, it's going to get Photoshop and Lightroom. But what we're doing is we're not installing all of this software right at imaging time. As soon as our Casper agent gets installed, those smart groups know that it needs this software and that software, and it doesn't need the Final Cut suite or something like that. And then once it has the necessary software that they need for their department, the self-service window can open up, and then they can install anything after the fact. We don't really want to get into a game of guessing what software they need. We allow our customers to be able to handle that, aside from some of their department apps. So with updates, we've recently switched to a monthly patching schedule. We wanted to do something that was transparent and easily repeatable while being a convenient time for both the customer and IT. We stick to the dev stage prod, and for an example of Office 14.4.1 released on Patch Tuesday, we were able to, as soon as it's released, we install it on IT systems for testing. And then the third week on Thursday at 1 p.m., the policy will go live for our test group, our test users. We get feedback from them by the following Wednesday, and then if the update doesn't have anything wrong, it goes into production on the fourth week. This came from a lot of updates happening off cycle and customers not knowing when their computer was going to reboot. We try and stick this to every Thursday at 1, the policies are going to go live. But every so often we have people that want to install it ahead of time. So therefore, we put it into self-service for them early if they're so brave. But really, this keeping up with these updates has really been a lot. So thankfully, AutoPackage when that came out. Did anybody go to Greg's session this morning? If you didn't get a spot or missed out on YouTube, you want to check out Auto Package. Eliminates the repetitive process of going out, downloading an update, packaging an update, deploying an update. Auto Package automatically is able to do that. And then there were 2 sessions this morning that deal with that. So if you missed it, make sure to check that out on YouTube later. But a few years ago, I was at the MacTech conference out in LA, and I saw a pitch from CrashPlan. We were looking for some disaster recovery for our laptops and mobile users who might not be on our file server as often. CrashPlan really made an easy decision. In fact, if you have the latest MacTech, there's an article about backing up Buckeyes from another department. Story in there about a faculty member who was in South America, and she was on a South American power grid and fried her laptop. She was able to go in and restore her file on her on her iPhone, and do the presentation the next day. So CrashPlan really allows other users to have a lot of control to be able to back up and restore their own files. We're actually running this on a private cloud on a Dell DR4000 box. It was really easy to set up, and we're kind of running our own private cloud. It allows them to do multiple backup destinations, and it's been really great for them to not have to have an external drive running for Time Machine on their desk. One of the really great parts is we can have our customers do their own restores. And when we show them this, I usually get a kid in a candy store look saying, "You mean I don't have to talk to you guys? This is great." It's really helped us cut down on our migration times too. Instead of migrating the user's data from their old system to the new, they can actually just adopt their new computer and restore all their files from their old one. They don't have to wait for us to restore their data, and our rollouts can go a lot faster because once it's set up for them and is on their desk, they can just adopt that computer and pull down anything that they need. Another way we can cut down on time for the customer is providing documentation for them. Inevitably, we all get emails, something like this, and rather than replying a dozen times, I prefer to have a document for them to be able to clearly find in our self-service. So a lot of times I think of it as a 4-letter word, but documentation is really important. In fact, it's got so bad at our department that our director had to put in all of our performance reviews to be documenting everything. So it's something that a lot of IT lack in their departments. It's not fun, but a lot of our, hang on. Don't think of it like preparing your documentation for when you get hit by a bus, but for when you win the lottery and someone needs to do your job. Document it, and it can be left behind for someone else to figure out how to do what you do when you're doing that. But our service desk software makes it really easy with the click of a button to be able to turn a lot of the documentation that we include in our tickets to be able to be in there for our techs as well as for our customers. That is ServiceNow. It's our central IT office, includes a lot of documentation for techs as well as customers in there. It has a self-service portal as well that includes ability to download updates and things like that. I've used Web Help Desk. I've used iSupport. They all have their positives and negatives, but a lot of them worked hard to be able to have the documentation either internally or externally. And then AFP 548 has a great wiki, so I like to pitch using just like a wiki for documentation. I've got a lot of great inspiration from this for documenting stuff for our team. We've been using DocuWiki. It's free, it's open source, it's integrates with our LDAP, and of course it's designed for documentation. Each new service that we spin up gets like an ops doc with a playbook of what was installed, an overview, the build, and common task, as well as planning for DRs and SLA. But something that's really been helpful for us is info sessions, lunch and learn. We call them Tech Tuesdays. Several years ago when we were switching from Open Directory to Active Directory, our customers were having a lot of questions, and we found that they really wanted to sit down and talk about this. So we started a Tech Tuesday, really informal sessions that they could come by and ask what's going to change, what do they need to know. And we just kept it really simple. There's one of our sessions from a few weeks ago. But it's really been helpful for them to be able to ask questions they might not usually want to ask. We'll talk about ongoing projects, conference rooms, how to stake your claim, how to use Keychain without going insane. How can I use this cool new software app to improve my productivity? It can be a little bit of that, but really, they really wind up to be helpful sessions. Sometimes they're planned with an itinerary. We'll talk about Yosemite this summer, what's going to change when we do the upgrade. We went through a file server migration. They were able to ask questions about permissions and things like that. But really kind of giving that conversation between IT and the customer that they really need and we kind of forget. And again, this has been really helpful in sharing that information. Now, even though we've implemented a lot of self-service options, some of our users still really require admin rights. This is our local administrative privilege standard that allows us to be able to have them sign off on giving them admin rights. Some of them still demand admin rights, should be more like it. So what they have to do is give a business case why they're going to need admin rights. And it makes sure that they know their responsibility, that they are going to be admins of their machine. And then they have to sign off on it, agreeing that if there are any big problems, IT reserves the right to just re-image the machine if we don't know what they've done to the system. So then they have to tell us in writing what the business case is and explain it, and then this goes on file. Sometimes I get answers like that, but a lot of times the VPs or C-level types really just assume that they deserve admin rights. And one of my favorite stories is a high-level dean. We just assumed, we brought the form, new system, and assumed that he was going to want admin rights when his assistant said, "Why does he need that?" She gave the best case for me that I don't think he needs that and turned it away. So usually they just assume they're going to be granted that, and we do as well. But so while we have a lapse procedure in place for the last few years, we've also started testing out a new self-service policy that can temporarily make them an admin from our Casper suite. This is in pilot testing, so I'd love to get the script out there and see more people using this. It's a self-service policy that will grant them admin rights for 30 minutes. A web form will open up asking them to detail what they're going to be doing and why they need admin rights. And that goes to our help desk for auditing so that we can know who's been requesting admin rights and what's been going on. And then a launch daemon is going to run 30 minutes later to return them to standard. So they get this screen, and when they click that button, they are redirected to this form that they can fill out, and our help desk gets that. And this is the script that's going to execute on their system after they click that. And then we're going to get a launch daemon that will run 1800 seconds after they click that, and it calls a custom trigger to our JSS. It's going to change permissions And then there's where the magic really happens, giving them admin rights temporarily. And then this is what runs 30 minutes later, returning that account from admin to standard. What's that? No log off. It just does that, returns them back to a standard user account. This was actually from Andrina Kelly on the JAMP National User Conference. This was on the JAMP Nation message board. So even if you don't have Casper, I'd recommend going to jampnation.com. It's a great message board with stuff like this happening where people are solving issues like this. This really keeps IT and our customers happy.
Does someone feedback on what they put in their answer if it's nonsensical, or someone go and tell them off? They just...
If someone's clicking that like over and over again every day, yeah, maybe we would have a conversation with them, but it hasn't really been abused. I think maybe leaving it more as like a HR kind of thing. If someone is abusing it, leaving it up to that. But for right now, it hasn't really been misused or abused. We kind of keep track of what applications might get installed, making sure everything's up to date, but nothing really out of the ordinary, you know. So I really kind of wanted to leave a little bit of time at the end for question and answer and discussion. There were some successful panel discussions the other day, but really want to check out Auto Package. Later today, I know that the teaching one-to-one responsibility with admin rights was something that I was going to check out. And then tomorrow at 10:45, Beyond Thunderdome sounded like a really good session. But they were looking for food back, so food that's good for your back, I assumed. But if you're looking to give feedback, there's that. But like I said, I really kind of wanted to leave a little bit of time for Q&A and maybe a discussion panel. So I think we have the talking stick right here. Anybody had any follow-up questions? Yeah, that'll be hard to get to.
Navigate.
I'm just really asking for clarification. From your discussion, and it's great information and things that I can take back, you're really talking about, I work for a school system, so what I'm hearing you say, the services that you're providing through the self-help and self-service are for your staff, for adult users.
Yeah, we're a higher ed institution.
Right, but you have students at your higher ed institution. Do these same services apply to your students?
This is for faculty and staff.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
that's what that was my understanding, but I just wanted to be clear
Yeah, our
on that.
self-service, we're only faculty and staff when we're talking about this.
Okay, thank you.
So the self-service comes with registering with your computer with Casper. Right, so when you load the Casper app onto your machine, you get self-service in the app folder.
Yep.
That's what gives clients that access.
Up here?
Hi. So there's a few things that interested me, and some of it's about costs. So, for instance, CrashPlan. What's the cost?
It was a couple years ago. I don't remember what the cost was, and I really wouldn't want to give you a quote. I mean, they're obviously it is a service. We've paid. We get really good technical support. So if you're concerned about the cost, there is that added to it. But I don't remember exactly what we paid.
Did you say you have a local?
Yep.
It's local.
We saved a lot of money by being able to do that, because what they'll try and sell you is the CrashPlan branded hardware, but you can certainly run it on your own hardware.
And well, the other thing is Casper itself.
Yeah.
Seems like we could probably do these things with Monkey and stuff, but have you tried those things as well?
I used to use Monkey. but we were looking for something that had MDM for our iPads. So Casper was attractive in that regard. The only thing that Monkey was lacking when I had it was self-service. The new version is going to include a managed service center. So I am interested in seeing how that goes and how we could solve some of these issues the same way with Monkey. But Casper had it first, and it's what we have now. But I would agree.
And the last thing is something we do that maybe you could do is elevated user rights, we call it, process is built into our services. And so the user makes a request on our website rather than having a paper form like you have, with their reasons. It generates a ticket, and also it links it automatically to a hardware object and things like that.
We have a template in our service desk software that includes that PDF and automatically generates it, and approval process, et cetera, et cetera. So, over here.
What is your service desk software?
iSupport. The one at our central IT office that I was showing, the one university type thing, was ServiceNow. I've also used Web Help Desk, and I kind of miss it. If you're in a Mac environment, Web Help Desk started out on Macs, so that one I find really useful. SolarWinds has Web Help Desk now? Really? Did you used to have Web Help Desk?
Still do, just got the bill, won't have very soon.
Does anyone have a service desk software that they really like?
RT, Request Tracker.
Okay.
We use Service Desk.
Yeah.
Considering switching to Spice Work, but it's pretty tough.
Right.
With a bastardized version of Jira.
Of what?
A bastardized version of that last Jira. Very heavily customized. Very non-functional. So, yeah,
No other questions, comments, concerns? Everybody? Go ahead.
I come from an environment where we actually do not grant any admin rights to any of our users or members. I'm obviously in a much smaller environment. I see you have the process of going for like an approval. Are users ever denied, and do they appeal? Do you find that you get a lot of pushback when you say no, if you consider it not to be a legitimate business need?
That form had to go through a group of vice presidents and things like that to be signed off on. So there is a appeal process. So the first step is it goes to our IT director. If that business justification doesn't fit, or we have a workaround to meet their need, he'll deny it. It'll go back to the end user, and then at that point they have the ability to appeal, and then it goes to the leadership committee to be able to review the appeal, and then ultimately determine if it trumps the IT director. So yes, we do have mechanisms in place that they can appeal. What's that? Are you posting your slides? Yeah, they should be available. Yeah, I'll send them. I've sent them to the team here, so they'll post it on the same website. Yeah.
It's more of a comment. I just have a general thing. So we use Quest Active Role sitting on top of our AD, and basically users can go into that self-service and they can request access to specific software. We approve it on that side, and it puts them into an AD group that we have a self-service policy scope to for like Adobe or something. So just another kind of idea for that.
Certainly. What was the name of the product again? Okay.
I guess you may have covered this, and forgive me if I missed it. You're provisioning AD at the machine level, binding in your initial setup script. Is your Active Directory managed out of your department, or is that a campus-wide initiative and then delegated down?
It's managed in our department. We have a central IT office that provisions the Exchange, and so we have two different accounts. They're both on the same expiration policy, so usually people will rotate them at the same time. We're going through an IDM project right now that's kind of going to do an AD sync. That's going to sync that up from central IT and then trickle down to our local AD. But when we're binding, the computer account is going to be a department AD account. Yeah. Yep.
One more question over here.
Yeah.
In regards to that temporary administrative request, does the user need to be on a domain to receive that permission? If they're at home, per se, working from home, can they still request that and gain that elevated privilege?
Yeah, as long as our distribution point can push that script out to them,
The script needs to be pushed to that script.
right, and then it runs locally.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
But there's no reason that wouldn't work if they were off network.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you go back to the feedback URL and
Yeah.
we could just let everyone see that again? Make sure everybody has that. Submit your feedback. Friendly reminder. I think we're good.
Left you a lot of time to go get a snack.
You're done early.